Hi, it's Luann Mitchell, and it is my great, great honor and privilege to have with me today Professor Dr. Zavos. Oh my gosh, this man has touched my heart so many ways. The great works he's doing for this world, for so many people with fertility, as well as so many miraculous moves. I am a firm believer that we are going to meet, you are going to meet one of God's great, great angels on this planet. Welcome, welcome, Professor Dr. Zavos. What an honor and a privilege it is to be with you.
It's my pleasure. Luann, I feel exactly the same way about you. You're a superwoman. You light so many fires and you keep so many people in suspension, in so many different ways. I mean, you've just been an incredible human being. And over the years, I've been watching you and I've been wanting to meet you, and I haven't done that yet. But then, of course, we still got a lot of years ahead of us, so maybe we will. You never know.
This is true.
It's a pleasure to be with you this evening, okay?
Thank you, thank you. Oh my goodness, it's just electric. It's electric. You know, if we could just tap this, no one would need to have any sort of energy source other than this sort of electricity, and we'd light up the whole world. So let's do it. Let's just do it. I'm wondering, in your words, your beautiful words and your description, because I have so many descriptions I can read. I mean, you're world famous. You're beyond spectacular. But who is Professor Zavos in your words, in your very own words?
Well, I should warn you about this kind of a question, of course, that I don't like to talk about myself. I'd rather, when people ask me, hey, Professor Zavos, it's a pleasure to meet you. When we meet with people and we sit down and I said, can we have a cup of coffee? The astonishing thing about people and the impressions that they have that I don't drink coffee, you know? I am some kind of a Superman that doesn't need caffeine and doesn't need those kinds of the human needs that everybody has. And therefore that amazes me sometimes. I say, come on, let's sit down. I'll buy you the cup of coffee. Would you like a cappuccino, please? Therefore, it is the amazing thing to me that people look at you and the words that you describe me with are just amazing to me, because I am very commoner. I am a very common human being. And when people ask me, what would you like to the most about yourself? I said, being human. Okay? There's nothing that you can really fool around with on Mother Earth and being somebody that flies all over the clouds and keep missing the action. So I like to be among people. People turn me on, people stimulate me, people motivate me, people really make me who I am, because I am a people's person. And therefore, you know, when you ask me that kind of a question, I like to say that, you know, I am the kind of a guy that gets kicks out of life. And life is not my life, is the people's world that makes my life. And therefore, without the people, you're missing all the ingredients. And
wow,
therefore,
that's
as I travel throughout the world and I sit down in India or in Pakistan or in Dubai or in Saudi Arabia or in Hong Kong or in Japan or wherever, Rio de Janeiro, you name it. The first thing that really I need to understand is the people. And before I even get there, I learned some key words about how to say bon dia, good morning in Portuguese, or Ohayo gozaimasu in Japanese, and that kind of thing. And then automatically this lights up people. They say, you're one of us. When you speak a language, or at least you try to, then we're accepting you and you're one of us. And then the chemistry began. And that's all about creating a chemistry. Without the chemistry, there's nothing there.
Spoken like a true scientist. I love that. But it is true. It is chemistry. And you know what I'm also hearing is the human touch. And that's the gentleness, and how magnificent that you should be able to balance this. You know, you are not just the average bear on this planet. You are an extremely intelligent man. You are an extremely accomplished man. You are such a humble gentleman. And the word gentleman really comes to mind because although, you know, as you said, we have not really met in person, although this is the first meeting in many ways too. So it's going to be a freeze frame in my life because I've been looking forward to this moment forever. But I'm wondering, how did this humble gentleman, this beautiful soul known as you, how did you get to where you are today?
Well, it's a long way from home, as we say
I
in
bet.
Kentucky. Uh, I came in the USA 54 years ago.
Mm.
Um, and I can tell you, I can write 2 books on my way to the USA
Mm.
alone. I left home. I'm the only person from my family that left home. We are 8 children in my family. None of them have college degrees, and I managed to get 5 college degrees. And when they asked me that, I said, I got one almost for every member of my family. So nobody gets cheated that way. But, you know, I never flew before in my life. And then all of a sudden you take a transatlantic flight from Athens to New York.
Mm.
Landing at JFK was a big deal. And it's still a
Oh.
big deal today. But, you know, landing from Athens to JFK and coming to Kansas. And I can tell you stories along the way that I would not let the airplane leave from New York without my suitcase, because I came here with 1 suitcase and $278 in my pocket. And my dad said, that's all I have? Go to America? Now, I know that you're going to come back next week because you're going to run out of money. Well, I proved him wrong.
Mm.
And I went back. When I went back, he introduced me to his friends, a professor. And then I said to myself, mission accomplished. And so who am I? Who brought me to this world? People did. I mean, my teachers, my professors, my colleagues, my classmates, anybody that I met, I let them become a teacher of mine. I remember when I came to America, I couldn't speak English, okay? And so I began to do imitations. I began to say, well, if I imitate Walter Cronkite in the CBS Evening News with Walter Cronkite, and that's the way it is, you know, then automatically I say, well, I'm learning English, you know?
Beautiful. My
And
God.
so I began to do imitations and entertain people, and they were entertaining me, and I was learning like a sponge. I was just sucking up things like left and right. And my professors still remember me 54 years ago. They may forget everybody in the classroom, but not me, because
I bet.
I had to make an impression. I had all the questions that they would say, who is this guy? I can't pronounce his name, and he's giving me a headache. He's asking questions.
Yeah.
But that's the way I was, and that's the way I am today.
Gosh, I love that. I love your sense of humor too. And I can just envision this. So it's so beautiful because when you speak, it's like being transported right into that classroom. And I can see you there. And I would like to have been one of the girls in that class because, you know, I would have had a crush on you. Because you
Well,
would have been quite the character.
be careful now.
Well, it's
The
true.
girls is something, it's another issue there
It's
all by
like
itself.
that, you know, it's like charm. You're a charming, charming,
Well, thank
charming
you very
gentleman.
much. Thank you so much.
Where are you now with your operations all around the world? You know, we mentioned a few locations earlier, but my goodness, you're all around the world doing all of these miraculous things. And I'm not going to understate it. You're a miracle worker. I mean, people, their jaws come unhinged when they hear some of these miraculous works. You are such a tremendous gift to the world. I'm so, so grateful just to be able to ask you this question. Where are you around the entire world right now with your operations?
Well, as I said to you, you have to be philosophically sort of encouraged and
Mhm.
stimulated
Mhm.
to really do things that I do, because I am very well organized. I know exactly what I want. I get up in the morning and I'm going to accomplish things. And then I'm going to say, well, I'm not going to go home until things are done, and that kind of thing. So
Mhm.
I have an agenda every day. And people that work with me, they obviously work the same way as I do. And therefore, because we're organized, we get a lot of things accomplished. Now, as far as your question as to where I am now, I like to be global, because very simply, the world is a globe. You can't, you can't forget about the people in Bangladesh and the people in Pune, India, or the people in Osaka, or the people in Beijing or Shanghai, or whatever that might be. Those are people. They happen to be speaking a different language, but obviously they have the same needs as we do. And by understanding them, they teach you a lot of things, because the Chinese or the Japanese or the Portuguese or the Greeks or the Turks or somebody, they all have a way, they have the same needs, but they have a different way of accomplishing it, that. And therefore my philosophy some time ago became that people is my business and the world is my market. And therefore, when I speak in Pakistan, let's say, and I say that, automatically, I may have an audience of 5,000 physicians, I say to them that people is my business and the world is my market. And today that world includes the Pakistanis in Karachi. And they all stand up and they clap, because they say, I am so glad that you're recognizing us and you're including us in that world. And automatically, when you accept people, they accept you. It's a two-way street. And by no means being a selfish individual, say, well, do you know who I am? I walk on water. Yes, I do. I tried that a couple of times, and guess what happened? I got wet.
Yeah.
And so the only thing that when I walk on water, I get in my towel and I dry myself up and I move on.
Yeah.
So this is the attitude. You have to have a philosophy. And then people say, why are you so philosophical? I said, just look at my forefathers, all the Greek philosophers. They all had a philosophy. They had a little bit of a motivational philosophy that told them who you are and what do you want and how do you want to go there.
This is so right. And, you know, I've thought about that. That's a beautiful thing. Your Greek heritage, that's so spectacular. Now, I love Greek food. Oh my gosh, that's my Achilles heel. I would eat it every day for the rest of my life, day, night, breakfast, dinner, lunch. I love Greek food. It's so good. There used to be a great Greek restaurant in my hometown called Cousin Nick's. And they had a tree growing right in the middle of the restaurant, a real tree. And they built the restaurant all around the tree. And he would say, we must encompass nature and work with nature. And it was such a magnificent place. And I'm hearing this from you, this beautiful philosophy, but this generosity as well, the generous spirit, which really comes through. And that's, you know, just a little tidbit of what it is that makes you a distinguished individual. But what is it that makes you a distinguished individual among your peers?
It's I keep things simple. You know, I don't, I don't want to invent some kind of a formula that nobody can spell and nobody can figure out and life should be simple. And therefore, you know, I like simple things. And because of that, I'm a very happy guy, because that simplicity gives me a lot of gratitude. It gives me a lot of pleasure. When you get to drown in a glass of water, that's very complicated stuff. It will take an ocean for me to drown in. And actually, they haven't managed to do that yet. So more of the story is that you need to be highly motivated and you need to be very competitive in a positive way. I'll tell people in very simple terms as to who made you who you are. I said, it definitely is not my friends or relatives. The people that made me who I am are my enemies. The people that are challenging me every day and they say, guess what, Zavos? You cannot do that. Well, I come back 6 months later and guess what? I'm doing it, fellow. Look, take a look. You know, they told me that you cannot clone a human being. Well, that is quite a challenge. You can change the world with that attitude and that particular invention, so to speak, to clone a human. We're almost there. However, nobody really realizes that. Somebody said to me when I was debating early in my invention of the cloning work back in 2001, before the Congress and before every aspect of this world, I went from Brazil, Supreme Court, to the Congress of the United States twice. I addressed so many audiences. Everybody said, you cannot do this. It's not right. I debated at Oxford Union, incredible people, the guy that cloned Dolly the sheep. They said, you should not be cloning humans. And I said, you clone a sheep, man. Why can't I clone a human? I do this in order to improve people's lives when they cannot have a child. And therefore, the challenges of those people made me who I am. And I am so proud of that, because very simply, the world is loaded with people that want to challenge you every day. Therefore, my life is from challenges that I say, take a number, sit down, wait, I'll show you.
Wowzers, I love that. I gotta admit, it's hard to just sit and listen, because it's so electric right here. I mean, what you're speaking of, these are groundbreaking discussions right here. I'm a simple woman. I watch things like the Ancient Aliens TV show, and they're finding things in the temples, etc., and these mummies, and they're taking the DNA from the mummies and things like that, and it just blows my mind, and saying we can recreate to see exactly what this would have looked like, or things like forensic files. They find something and then they find a killer 20 years later, because certain things in the scientific discoveries. I salute you. I am so proud of you. I'm so grateful you're on this planet right now, and I know that, and I'm sure that you have a few secrets. And I'm excited about, maybe if you're willing to share a couple of those, hearing what they might be.
Well, secrets are not as such secrets per se. There are some things that to me are very evident when you meet me and you sit down and you discuss things with me. I want to give you my secrets in 2, 3, 4 sentences. And I probably have given you several of those already. My secrets are that I'm very easy to challenge, but be careful when you challenge me, because simply I'm going to surprise you. I never bought a lottery ticket, for instance. And the reason for that is that I don't believe that I'm going to win the lottery. The best way to win the lottery is drive by the gas station that sells the lottery tickets and get to work. And if you work hard enough, you will obviously be rewarded for that. And that's good enough. You don't need to be a billionaire overnight. Just gradually climb up the ladder, and that'll make you even much more happier than you would if somebody would show you up and give you a check for $100 million and say, what am I going to do with that? A lot of people that get that kind of money, they go the next day and they commit suicide, because they say, I don't know what to do with my life now.
Right.
I'm totally confused.
Yeah.
Therefore, living a normal life and dealing with the human species every day gives you tremendous latitude to do great things and be successful. But you need to zero in. You need to be focused.
Zero in and be focused. I love this. I love this. And that, just on that note, that's a perfect segue for me to ask you for some pearls of wisdom. Do you have a specific pearl of wisdom we could leave our global audience with from today's show?
Well, I've got a lot of things that they're very practical. You'll hear people that they say, my cup is half empty, or my cup is half full. And I tell people, you're fooling around with the wrong fractions. Why should it be half empty and half full? My cup is always full and runs over.
Oh, nice.
And believe it or not, life is a chemical reaction, as I suggested earlier. And because of that, it is also an attitude. If you have the right attitude, you will be the right person and you belong here. If you develop the wrong attitude, you're just going to be running into trouble left and right and anywhere possible. And because of that, I develop and I have a positive attitude every day, because simply the choices are limited for me, at least.
That's so nice. I say the altitude of your attitude.
There you go.
I love it. Thank you so much for your time. I'm excited because this is only part one. And so we're going to be able to dive into part two. And so to our global family, the Big Media USA family all around the world, do watch. We're going to do a part two. I have a sneaking suspicion we might have a part three and maybe even a part four and more. Because there's so much I want to ask you and we're out of time. But oh, God bless.
Thank you
And I'm
so much.
so
Luna,
grateful.
it's been fantastic. I thank you for being such a good partner on this podcast.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a nice evening.
Have a nice day. Bye-bye.